Hey everyone. One of you brought up a comment that impacted me so much. I wanted to make a video on this because one of you was basically talking about feeling unwanted, and I used to deal with that myself. So I'm going to make a really quick video here. Hopefully it'll be quick. I don't know, considering how I wing all these. But I want to talk about this because that used to affect me, and because of that, I know what I did to work on this, but I also know how crippling that feeling can be. Because, all of us at the end of the day want to feel loved and wanted by someone, desired by someone, right? That's like one of the best feelings in the world. That's something we all kind of work towards, something we all want to create in our lives. So when we trick ourselves into feeling unwanted, and I do mean trick yourself, you'll see why in a moment here, but when we do that, we cause ourselves a ton of pain that's unnecessary, because none of us are actually unwanted, unless you're like a serial killer and you go around. Why am I even laughing at that? I'm laughing at the extremeness of the example. Obviously, serial killers, not a funny thing, but like, unless you're that messed up of a person, you're never going to be unwanted. Sure, we can all at times feel deeply insecure. We can feel like we've got all these issues that we're painfully aware of because we live in our own bodies and our own minds, right? So we know every flaw that we have, and that's if we have high levels of self-awareness. For people who don't have that high level of self-awareness, they're going to be aware of some of their flaws, but not the full picture. But because our flaws are so familiar to us, it can make us fall into that trap mentality of believing that we're unwanted, because we'll think, oh, well, I'm not tall enough, I'm not attractive enough, I don't make a lot of money, I don't know how to connect with women. This is coming from the example of a guy, and actually, these were things I used to think. I just realized that when I was younger, I used to think these things. You think like, I'm not sexy enough, I'm not strong enough, buff enough, masculine enough, whatever it would be. And there are a lot of female equivalents, but I won't get into that. Ladies, you'll probably know what some of them are. So we trick ourselves with our thoughts into thinking these painful and horrible mentalities for us. They're not helpful at all. And we trick ourselves into feeling like we're unwanted because of reminding ourselves consistently of all these flaws that we feel we have. And even if some of them are true, you have to realize other people either won't be aware of them, or they're just not going to care about them as much as we do. I've met some just incredible women who were almost willing to glaze over all the flaws I thought I had. Well, I did have them. It wasn't so much that they were legit. It wasn't so much me just thinking they were a thing and they actually weren't. Though I had flaws. But I've met some just great people who, and I'm not necessarily saying it's a good trait to overlook people's flaws, but more so they were just willing to see the good in me, even though at the time I thought I was just like unwanted. I thought I wasn't worthy of any of it. I thought that I hadn't done enough inner work to deserve attractive women. And this is another issue that we even get into these ridiculous mentalities. It's like, for guys, we tend to put women on pedestals, so we view her as being up here in status, and we're all the way down here, like groveling at her feet for attention and for a kiss on the hand or the cheek or whatever the fuck. But that's really unhelpful. We're all human beings here. Like, all the attractive women, for all the guys watching, they're the same as you. They're just human beings. At one point she was a little girl, had no idea what the hell she was doing in life. She was deeply insecure, most likely, maybe even still is. Now she's an adult. She's attractive, sure, and because of that you find her intimidating, but that doesn't mean she's got more value than you. She may even have less. Who the hell knows? Who knows how much work she's put into herself? But that's a fool's game anyway. What I'm getting at is we're all human beings here. There's no point in believing someone is better than you or that they have more value than you. One, it's difficult to prove, but two, it's just unnecessary. You're going to psych yourself out before you even engage in conversation with them. And because I used to have these tendencies myself, it's something I'm still working on to this day, because all those years of conditioning are difficult to completely shake. I mean, there are still times where, even for the way I think now, those old thought patterns, the old conditioning comes creeping back into my mind, and I'm like, get the hell out of here. I thought I got rid of you. But if you grew up thinking one way for long periods of time, it's difficult to completely override that. And I get that. So that's going to be one of the biggest barriers behind how some of us can feel unwanted, because we grew up buying into these ridiculous beliefs, these bad mentalities, these unhelpful and unnecessary mindsets, and then we become adults and we often aren't able to completely get out of them. But what you can do to start working on this, beyond just noticing these thought patterns and rejecting them, is just start practicing self-love. Start caring about your own opinion of yourself more, and remind yourself of the amount of effort you've put into growing and becoming better. This is something that took me time to realize the importance of, because I used to I would place so much value on women because I was needy and I really thought a girlfriend would save me. Oh, what a joke that is, right? That nobody can save us besides ourselves. But I used to place so much value on women that I would lower my own value or not even be aware of it. And now I think back and I'm like, I've put in so much work, so much effort to become a better man, to become who I am today. And I'm nowhere near finished either, but I put in so much work, even up till now. It's like, why the hell would I ever rob myself of that by believing she's way better than me when she probably isn't? And I'm not saying that to stroke my ego. I'm saying that as in, not many people work on themselves. It's true, not many people do, especially attractive people, because I already made a video on this months ago, but attractive people can skate through life pretty much because they're so attractive. They get help from both sexes. That's one of the benefits of being very good looking. People literally have an easier life if they're very attractive. And that goes even more so for women, because that goes without saying. You understand what I'm getting at. So I used to just ignore all the effort I'd put in. So that's something, you shouldn't make that mistake either. Do not neglect the amount of work and effort you've put into growing yourself. If you feel unwanted, keep reminding yourself that you have value. You've worked on yourself. You're striving to become a better person. That's huge. You need to keep making yourself aware of that. Just don't become arrogant, though. I'm not arguing for that at all. Don't become self-centered or arrogant, so don't get to that point. But it's still helpful to remind yourself, hey, I've put in over a decade of work improving myself, improving my mentality, improving my physical fitness, improving, my grooming, whatever it may be. And these things all matter. They're all impactful. They all have value. And when we neglect that, we hurt ourselves, because now we allow ourselves to feel unwanted because we're not aware of what we bring to the table, the amount of effort we've put in. So practice that self-love. Be kinder to yourself. Treat yourself well. Cheer for yourself. Motivate yourself. Support yourself. And always be aware of your value, your self-worth. So remind yourself how far you've come and all that effort you've put into growing yourself. So if you feel unwanted, you really aren't. There are probably plenty of people out there who would date you. You just haven't met them, or maybe they're not in your immediate surroundings. This is another thing I think of, because online dating here in Los Angeles is just, it's interesting. I get some matches, so it's not it's completely hopeless, but it's more the mentality of the woman here is just interesting. There's a lot of entitlement. There's a lot of women who think their attractiveness means that they deserve the best possible guy out there. I'm talking like a Brad Pitt type who, not just going off looks, but also wealth. They want the full picture there. They want a guy who looks like Brad Pitt and is worth as much as Brad Pitt. And it's just like, what the hell has happened to expectations? Because these expectations are way too freaking insane. Like, no man can live up to them unless he's like over 40 years old. But at that point, it's just, are they going to go after a guy that age when they're in their early 20s? Who knows? But what I'm getting at is there are times where if I use online dating long enough, it makes me start to question my own value as well. Even now, with the amount of like effort I put into curb that habit, it still occasionally happens. But I know I'm not unwanted. I know that there are beautiful, great, kind, caring, amazing women out there who would love to date me. In fact, from making these videos, I know that there are some of them in various countries all over the world. And it sucks that they don't live here because that would be amazing. But I mean, there are even plenty of them here, I'm sure. I just haven't met them yet. So what I'm getting at is anytime you feel unwanted, it's your own ego tripping you up, making you feel like you aren't good enough. Because there are for sure people out there who would love you and find you great, especially if you've really worked on yourself. If you have spent like even 5 years trying to become a better person, there are so many people out there who would love to date someone like you. So when you feel unwanted, remind yourself that they're out there. You just haven't met them yet. So I don't really have any advice for being able to meet them because, man, believe me, I've tried myself. But I do know they're out there, so just don't give up hope in that regard. But at the same time, don't give in to that ridiculous mentality of feeling unwanted. You need to practice that self-love like I already mentioned, and always remind yourself of your worth. Because at the end of the day, you aren't unwanted. That's just your ego. Tell your ego to get the hell out of here because it's not being helpful. But anyway, this video is getting way too long and just a spur of the moment type thing, so hopefully I didn't ramble too much, and hopefully this was helpful to you. And consider this, I guess, like a bonus video for today, because that comment it just brought up old emotions in me, made me realize that was something that used to impact me quite a bit. And I was just thinking about how I've gotten to where I am now, and figured I could help some of you. So I wanted to make the video right away rather than waiting for tomorrow to make it tomorrow's video. So yeah, you guys get 2 videos today. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci.